Welcome back to Mackie Tech, everybody, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to set up and configure Jellyfin on the Ugreen NAS. I've gotten this request multiple times, and so I figured I'd do a video on it. We've done a couple videos on doing Plex and Jellyfin and MB on other devices like your Windows computer, on Linux, so I decided to do one on Ugreen. So let's jump in to see how we can get that set up. Okay, so here we are in our Ugreen NAS app on our Windows system. And this is going to be on the DXP 6800 Pro. And I will leave a note on this video as to what NAS that this is not the best for in terms of using Jellyfin, but most of the Ugreen, the DXP Ugreens, this will work on in terms of streaming from Jellyfin. And I'm going to assume that you already have your drive pool setups and your Ugreen is, pretty much ready to go. First thing that you want to make sure that you have installed is your Docker app, and that is available under the App Center. So you can just find it under the App Center here. Just download that. And there is an option to install Jellyfin via the App Center also. Interestingly, Ugreen's website on their Knowledge Center, they do have a guide as to how to set it up within the application, and they also actually have a video as to how to do it through Docker. So when I first got this NAS, I actually installed Docker through the App Center, and it suits my needs just fine that way. But one of the things that you'll see here, if I go under my containers and under my Jellyfin app, if I go under settings, if I go under the YAML file, it says this project was installed through the App Center, does not support redeployment. So if you install it through the app, it'll work. It's fine. It's just that, you can't come back in here and change things around if you need to. All right, so after you have the Docker app installed, you have a couple different options up here. We're going to be working with the projects option up here, but you have your overview, which tells you all of the different projects that you have going. It tells you the different number of containers, all the data that you have in them, and it gives you a rundown of all of your available resources. I have about 44% of my memory being used. And if we go under my project folder here, you see that I'm using Joplin, which is a sort of a note-taking app that I use, and I have a reverse proxy server that I have running, and then I have my Jellyfin. And this is a demo that I was working on in preparation of this this video. We'll kind of use that as a template, if you will. Projects are really cool because they allow you to install a number of different containers that will work under one application. In other words, if you wanted to install a WordPress site, you could install WordPress, and then you could also put on your database in the same project so that they would both be in the YAML file. Both containers would kind of work together within the project versus having to install, two different containers and then try to work with them separately. So a project is just a neat way to do that. And if we go under here, these are the different containers that I've downloaded. I have one for Portainer that I turned off. I also have one for Plex that I was messing around with. I might do a video on that later. If you want, let me know in the comments. So first we're going to go ahead and we're going to start a new project. So we're going to click on Create, and I'm going to call this Jellyfin Video. And then for the storage path, you can't use caps. It yells at you for that. And then for the storage paths, you'll notice that it automatically gives you a directory called Jellyfin Video. And you'll notice that it's under a shared folder in the Docker folder. And I'll explain how that makes sense in just a second. I'm going to paste one I have from another project. So we'll paste that in like this. And then I'm going to go up and make sure this is correct. So whenever you copy and paste over your YAML file, you want to make sure that these indentations are preserved. YAML is very, very picky about the formatting. Okay, so this is the one I dragged over from one of my other demo that I was working on. So I'm going to rename this to Jellyfin Video, and I'm going to name, this is the image it's going to pull. That's fine. I'm going to name the container Jellyfin Video also. What this means is that it says restart unless stopped. All that means is that after this is created, if I go in later and want to basically stop it manually and then I restart my NAS, Jellyfin will not start. If I change this to always, then regardless if I turn off the Jellyfin manually, it'll always restart. So it just says unless stopped because it wants to respect your choice to not have it start after you've manually stopped it. And this here where it says devices, this line is basically this is what it's going to be using for transcoding. It's going to be capturing the Intel QuickSync, in my case, on my NAS. So that's what it's going to be using for that if you had a video card or a GPU or whatnot. And then these are the different volumes that we have configured. I'm going to rename these to match the name of our project. So this first part here where it says volumes, this is the part that is going to be available on your NAS that you can go in and change if you want to. These second parts here where it has the / and the config, the cache, the data, this is essentially within the container itself. You aren't going to be interacting with these much. This bottom one here where it says data, that is the one that we're going to be selecting when we actually import our media in the Jellyfin app when we go on the web to import our data, our media. So the folder that we're going to be putting our media in at this point in time is under the Docker folder. And remember we said before that this path up here is where it's going to be storing all of these different config files and data files. So it's going to be under the Docker folder in our Ugreen NAS, and I'll show you that in a second. I would just leave where it says / data. I would leave that, but you can change this to whatever you want. If you wanted to change it to /volume / video, you can do that as well. I'll show you an example in a second. As it stands right now, it's going to be within your Docker folder. And then these are the ports that we're going to use. The 8900, that is going to be the port that we use to access the Jellyfin app on our NAS. So we'll put in our NAS IP address and then put in colon and then 8900. And that will be where we're going to be accessing the Jellyfin app, as well as on our TVs or any type of device that we're going to be consuming the media from. The 8906 is, again, an internal number that it uses in the container. And then down here, environment, this is where it's going to have your time zone, TZ, I'm US Central, so that's how that works. And as I mentioned, I'll put all this in my Patreon, and I'll leave little notes on here so you know how everything works if you want to change anything. But this is just the one that I'm using. You can do whatever you want if you know what you're doing. You can change the volumes, the devices, what have you. So we have most of this set up. So I'm going to click on deploy. And so it's pulling the image down. Let's see why we failed. Okay. I think I know why, actually. Let me go back to a couple of projects. Okay, so this one I'm going to stop just because this one has the same port number. So I'm going to stop that. And then if I go under this is the one I use for my media right now, my Jellyfin. So I'm going to double click on that and then go to compose configuration. You know, note down here it says that this project was installed on the App Center, so I can't mess with it. But one thing I do want to show you, mine is this one is set to always in terms of restarting. It doesn't matter to me, that's fine. This is where the config and the cache, and they are in, you can see if I hover over it, it says Docker, and that's where it's going to be storing that information. Okay, so it's within the Docker folder. Whenever it has the / that means it's in the Docker folder. So these next one here, see where it says the data, that's the one we saw before where we were talking about where we're going to be putting our movies and our videos. So what I did is I just put it into a videos folder on my NAS under volume 1. And then I also have a separate section here for plugins if you want to do that. Network bridge isn't really necessary. That's just in there for I don't know what reason, but that's in there. So these ports, this port is 8899. That's a little bit different than the one we just set up, which is fine. So I'm going to let's close that out. And if I go into my files and then go under my shared folders, okay, so here are the different folders that we used. So here is where our cache is going to be. This is where our configuration files will be. And this is where we're going to put all of our media. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our media folder here, and we're going to create another couple of folders for our actual media categories. So first one we'll say is movies. And then we'll create one called videos or TV shows, let's say. And then if you want, you can create one for home movies. And let's see if I have a couple of movies that I wanted to put in under movies, so that's fine. And now we're going to go back in. Actually, yeah, we do want to go back into the Docker. So we're under Jellyfin Video, and we want to go to this port number here, 8900. So let's launch a browser. So let's go to 192, and we'll say 8900. That sounds about right. Okay, so here is our setup for the new Jellyfin that we just installed. So our preferred language is English. That's fine. And then username, we'll say mackeytech. Give it a very weak password. And then we're going to click on Add Media Library. And content type, we're going to go to Movies. And display name is Movies. That's fine. So then we're going to add the folders. And this is going to be the folder that we told it to add for the movies that we just added. And remember we were talking about the data folder /data. So we'll click on that. And we'll click on movies. And we'll click on OK. And then this is going to be selected by default, I believe. Preferred download language. We'll say English, country, region, USA. And the rest of those I'm just going to leave as default. That's fine. Okay. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's, so we'll click on next. We don't want anything else right now. Click on next again. Automatic port mapping, we don't need that. I can allow remote connections to the server if I want to access my stuff remotely, which is free with Jellyfin. And you're done. So click on finish, and then I'm going to log in. And here are the two movies that we added, Silence of the Lambs and Keeping the Faith. Now, one thing I do want to show you, if I go back under the settings over here in the upper left-hand corner, I go to Dashboard. And if you want to enable transcoding or media transcoding, you go under Dashboard and then go to Playback and then click on Transcoding. And then where it says Hardware Acceleration, you click on the drop down and then go to Intel QuickSync. That's for the majority of the Ugreen NASs are using the Intel chips, the i5s, the i3s, the i7s. So those are the ones that are going to be having the transcoding in them. So we'll click on that, and then most of these should be fine. You can select other options if you want to, but that's all the ones we're going to be doing for right now. All the way down and click on Save. And it says, you know, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we get it. Okay, great. And then we have a preference for resuming and streaming and whatnot. So if I go back to general, this is just going to tell us the preferred names and the different options we have for our cache and whatnot. Oh, so, and this is set up so it will check for new media every 30 days, whatnot. Whenever I add a new device, I usually just come in under the dashboard and click on Scan All Libraries. And then it's usually pretty good about finding new things that I add. Now, one of the cool things that you can do is, let's just say this movie is not being captured correctly, like it's not finding the right movie. You can click on this little dot here, and then go to, if I click on Identify, let's say if I want to name it Top Gun, because I'm like, yeah, you're wrong, it's actually Top Gun. I click on Search, and I click on Top Gun, click on OK. So it changes the picture, the year, everything. If I go to edit metadata, It has everything that is relevant. It doesn't have the year right, whatever, but it has pretty much everything else. 1996, PG-13, Tom Cruise. It has all the different actors and actresses in there. So it's actually pretty smart. Once you put in the title, it'll find it for you. So I'm going to click on cancel, and I'm going to go back to the little ellipsis there, and I'm going to click on identify and type in keeping the faith. And that's fine. This is a very good movie, by the way, if you have not seen it, Keeping the Faith. And by default, it has the TV movie database. Both are active in here. You can add other ones if you want to, but those are the ones that I think it has by default. This is where it's getting the information for the different movies. You can change these if you want to. And this is where the images, it gets the images from. If you want to, you can save the artwork to your media folder if you really want to. It's up to you. And there's a bunch of other settings in here you can mess with if you want to. So I'm going to click on OK. And then if I want to add another media library, I can click on content type, and I would go to shows, and then I can say display name, and I say TV shows. And then I click on my folder, and I go to data again, and then I click on TV shows, and I click on OK. And oh, here. So here it says automatically refresh metadata from the internet. So every 30 days. Sorry, I thought it was by default every 30 days, but it's not. So click on OK. Okay, so that is all set up. So one of the things that you'll probably be wondering is, okay, so that's great. How do I organize my media? Well, I mean, I basically just put 2 movies in there at random, and it found them without problem. So with movies aren't that big of a deal as long as they're labeled correctly in your folder. So I'm going to go back to my Docker folder and then go under Jellyfin Video and then Media and then Movies. So what I've done is I made sure I put obviously the title in there, and then I put the year in brackets like that, so that it just seems to find it better that way. Now, TV shows are a little bit different. I don't have any TV shows in here, so I'm going to go to my main folder that I have all my stuff in. So if I go to, let's say Firefly, I put the title, and then I put the series name, title, whatever you want to call it, and then I put the year in brackets. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It doesn't seem to require that, but I just do that out of habit. If I click on that, I always label the seasons by season 1 like that for the folder. And then the important part is the actual labeling of the episode. This is actually a bad example because Firefly only had 1 season. But normally you would say season 1, episode 1, and label them that way. Let me find a better example. The show Hannibal, which is just awesome. That's also a bad example. So a lot of these, I mean, they kind of just work. It just depends. That one seems to be fine. Let me just go back to, let me see, Sopranos. Let's see, season 1. So this is an example, and depending on the show, it just seems to depend. But your best case, your best practice is to put in the title, The Sopranos, season 1, episode 1, and then just do that for every episode. That's just usually the way that it likes to do it. So if I go under, I'm going to open up another window, and I'm going to go to my main Jellyfin. Okay, so if I go under TV shows, so it seems to find everything fine. Here's Hannibal. That was the one that looked kind of disorganized. It has all of the seasons in there. There's season 1. It finds all of the episodes just fine. Sometimes if the episodes aren't labeled, you might get a weird screen capture or thumbnail, if you will, of the actual episode. But I've not really run into any real issues. Usually the older ones like MASH, yes, I'm a MASH junkie, act a little weird. But in general, if you put everything in correctly, if you put it in, it'll usually pick it up really easily. Here's Firefly. Oops, I did not want to start it. That was my bad. But it'll show you, I don't know why it's not listing the episodes. I think because I have it set up that way. Let's go to Big Bang Theory. Yeah, so it has all the different seasons in here that are listed. If I go down, yeah, so this one's fine. It just depends. But as I mentioned, there is definitely a best practice to do that in. And I will leave a link to the Jellyfin help section on their website as to how to do that. But as I mentioned, it's just best to put the name of the series and then the episode and the season in there, and it should be able to find it with no problem. So, but yeah, that's the long and the short of it of how to set up Jellyfin on your Ugreen NAS. And again, after you've set it up, you can go back in here and you can go back under your project and click on your Jellyfin and click on more and click on settings, and you can modify the compose configuration if you need to. If you ever want to stop it, you just go into your project and click on stop, and then it'll stop it, and then you can restart it if you need to. Anyway, that's going to wrap up another video for us today on Mackie Tech. If you found it helpful, please give us a like and make sure that you are subscribed. I will be doing a few more of these videos on the Ugreen NAS. My next one will probably be on the hosting your images on Image. So make sure that you don't miss that one. If there's anything specific that you want me to do on the Ugreen or anything in general, please let me know in the comments and I will add it to the list. Thank you to all of my Patreons for all of your continued support. I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. We'll be talking to you again very soon.